Well, thanks everybody for joining today. We did one of these last week, and the week before that, we've had some good feedback. So we want to continue to educate everyone out there, let them know what we're thinking. Everything seemed to be so negative, so we want to kind of give you 10 things that we know that you can do, or at least you should be thinking about here during this time period. Another thing you can do is not do something, right? And that is don't change your 401k. I've heard multiple stories of people saying, I'm stopped contributing to my 401k. I went and I moved all my money from, whatever the portfolio is in, the life cycle fund, down to a stable value fund. And so you're going in and making changes in your 401k because someone in the cubicle next to you told you that that's a good idea, or the fear is just taken over in you. And now you have the ability to go in and change something, so you take action, right? So Delbar Research comes out with a study every year that kind of says, how does the average investor do compared to, say, the S&P 500? Again, we're not telling you to go invest in the S&P 500. We want you to have a diversified portfolio. But we look at a time period from 1987 to 2016, the S&P 500 got about a 10% return, okay? The average investor, the Delbar Research Institute found, got about a 4% return. CPI, which represents inflation during that same time period, was about 2.65. So the average investor only realized a 1.5% return. Whereas if they just invested in particular asset class, stayed disciplined, right, they would have gotten realized almost an 8.5% return. So why is this the case? Most investors only hold a position for about 3.5 years, okay? Which means you're going in and changing stuff in your 401k. You get nervous about what's going on in the news, you make some changes, you hear about someone else doing something, they've got an MBA from their program, so you think they're really smart, so you follow their lead. Don't go changing things in your 401k, right? Be in a portfolio that you know and trust, and stay disciplined. A lot of people do track record investing, right? So now my 401k comes out and says, hey, we're gonna go through a change. We've got a new list of funds. And you go in and start picking funds that have done really well over the last 5 or 10 years because that fund got a 13% return and you only got a 4% return. So let me jump on that bandwagon, right? You start going through this track record investing, and all you're doing is following the highs and lows when you know you should just stay disciplined. Active stock picking. I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to people in the last couple of weeks. They're like, hey, what do you think about, XYZ stock or ABC stock? And my answer is always the same. If you're gonna go out and buy stocks, go buy a whole bunch of them, because I have no idea which one is gonna do well, and neither do you. Now, what they are right about is that stocks are discounted, right? But they're also discounted for a reason. There will be stocks that don't come out of this. Some names that we know, love, and trust, big Fortune 500 companies, are going to struggle. And there will be some that don't make it through this time period. So if you think you're going to go out and buy something like that, think about companies like Kodak, right? Or think about companies like WorldCom. Some companies that were very large, very healthy. People saw an opportunity to buy a discount and they took huge hits. It will happen. Right, so just because you've got your favorite stock is trading lower doesn't mean that it's a great time to just go put all your eggs in one basket. Don't try and actively stock pick. Now, it is a great opportunity for a slimy salesperson, right, an advisor, or someone who's marketing their stock picking to be, marketing stuff to you. Come listen to me, follow my advice, buy these stocks. Every time I log on and go look at some, research article or something like that, I always seem to get like a Motley Fool tab that pops up, and it's always the same thing. Motley Fool has never released, this can't miss stock position. I'm like, this ad has been coming up for like 4 weeks now. Like, how long is this same stock the best pick in the world? And so what kills me though is there are actually people that are clicking that, paying for advice, putting their money in that basket, even though if you go back and look at it, there's no way that they have any idea, right, or any confidence that could be right. They're just guessing and selling you a sales pitch. Don't believe slimy salespeople in times like this. right? The other thing people do in their 401k, which we talked about, is that market timing. Moving to stable value. Maybe I'll come back. I'll move it from the S&P to international, or international to, whatever it may be, to bonds. Don't try to time the market. Why that's so important. If I invested $10,000 on April 1st, 1997, and kind of went that go 20 years all the way to March 31st, 2017, the growth of my $10,000 would be almost $45,000. If I missed the 5 best days of trading, right, I've lost $15,000 of that gain. That is huge, right? That's almost 20% of the net growth on that one decision if I missed out on 5 of the best days. And oh, by the way, over these last 3-4 weeks here, the market has been obviously abysmal. But we've also had some amazing days in there, right, where the market was up 7, 8, 9%. So of those 5 days, we might have already had 2 or 3 of them in that 20-year time period. In order to get all the gain, you have to stay invested. As you can see, if you miss the 30 best days, you lose all of the gain, right? Over a 20-year time period, just 30 days, the 30 best days can crush your portfolio. And oftentimes those 30 best days happen after some of the worst days. So stay invested, stay patient.